So it was a shocking image that struck a chord with people across the country. A mother attempting to sell her 4 children. This image was published in an Indiana newspaper back in 1948. And if a photo could go viral back then, this one did. Flash forward to more recently, about 2015, when writer Kristina McMorris came across it online. And it became the inspiration for her new novel, Sold on a Monday. Although her book was fiction, Kristina became obsessed with learning the real story behind the photograph, and she joins us now. Kristina, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you just happened to see it online,
yes,
and couldn't let it go. You're a mother yourself.
Yes, yes.
So how did the obsession begin?
Well, I happened across it because, as many people have, you find a link that says 50 most shocking historical photos you have never seen, and we've all clicked on that, of course, and I saw this photo, and as a mother myself of 2 young boys, I had a visceral reaction to that. And I thought I could understand a parent possibly giving up their child for their betterment because you thought they'd have a better life without you. But what would push a parent to actually ask for money in return? And that ended up inspiring me to write a novel then about a reporter who happens to cross 2 kids being sold on a farmhouse porch in rural Pennsylvania, snaps a photo, it catapults his career, and has devastating consequences for everyone involved in the photograph.
Okay. And is there any question about because the sign, it looks so perfect, is there any question about whether that was actually in the original photo?
Absolutely. Well, that was my question when I saw the sign, and I thought, first I was just taken aback by it as a parent, and then I went back and looked at the photograph, and I thought, wow, that sign is so perfectly painted with reflective accent marks and all, and I just had a hard time envisioning a mother painting that. However, that doesn't change the fact of what happened to those kids 2 years after it was published.
So you looked into it. You found
Yes.
out the family's name and what actually happened. They lived in Chicago.
Right.
And what did you find?
What I found was that there was this story in a follow-up article of these kids who are now adults. Some of them have sadly passed away since then, and how they were reuniting through social media for the first time, some of them, and how they were comparing stories and explaining what really happened to them, and about how Rayanne, little girl in the photo in the little white dress, was sold for $2 as farm labor. Yeah, that was my reaction.
The little girl
too.
that we can see on the right, on the upper step?
Yes.
On the upper step?
Yeah, a farmer and his wife came to their apartment, knocked on the door, and said they'd buy her for $2 for farm labor. She says that her brother was crying so hard he didn't want to be separated from his sister, so he said, fine, we'll take him 2 for free. Yeah, quite a bargain. And then the mother ended up agreeing, according to Rayanne, because she wanted bingo money.
This story is so disturbing on so many levels, but here is what happened in more detail after the photo was taken. Watch this.
The picture was in the newspaper, and this picture right here is me, and that is my real mother there.
Rayanne Shalafu was just 5 years old when this photograph was taken on a porch stoop in Chicago. The picture was featured in a newspaper in August of 1948. Rayanne says her father left the family, and her mother, Lucille, did the unthinkable.
Me and my brother was put up for sale.
Rayanne remembers meeting John and Ruth Zuderman, who had a farm in Indiana. Rayanne says her mother sold them for $2 apiece.
I was getting some shoes on, and my brother, Kenny, was crying. He said, I want to go too with Sissy. And I said, let him go too. They said, that's okay, we can use him too. They were coming to us to use us as field workers, to work in the field every day. And the first day that my brother was there, they beat on him.
Rayanne says that they endured terrible abuse from their new parents.
Well, it's hard. There was never no love in our house, no love. But a lot of times if we didn't get our chores done on time, we would go without breakfast. If she decided we were bad, they would tie us in the barn.
The children clung to each other for strength. Rayanne says at 16, she was assaulted by a stranger.
And I'd been beat and raped, and I was tied up. I was there for 2 days.
When she became pregnant from the rape, Rayanne says the Zudermans sent her to a home for unwed mothers. Rayanne gave birth to a baby girl, but the baby was taken away from her.
I have nothing left. I walked out of that house, and I never went back.
Well, there is much more to her story, and when we come back, you will meet Rayanne here, live. Don't go away. And Rayanne Mills is now joining us. She is one of the young children in this photo taken in 1948, along with Kristina McMorris, who's the author of the new historical fiction book called Sold on a Monday that was inspired by that photo. Welcome back to you, Kristina. And Rayanne, hi.
Hey.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So that picture gets taken, and you remember the couple, the Zodemans,
Yeah.
coming into your home in Chicago and having a conversation with your mother. What do you remember about that?
I remember them coming in and they said they wanted me. And then my brother was crying and they said, well, let's take him too. We could use him too.
Do you remember what your mother said?
My mother, she said, well, she wanted $2 for us.
Do you remember what that felt like?
I knew I was going to have no mother no more, no mother, father.
Wow. The Zodemans treated you horribly.
Yeah.
And at 16, you were raped
Yes.
and found yourself pregnant.
Yes.
And so what happened? What did they do with your baby?
Well, I brought my baby home, but she said the only way to keep it if you name it after me.
Mrs. Zodeman said.
Yeah, her name was Ruth. So I named her Ruth Elaine. And she was my pride, you know. And after about 6 months, she told me, she said, what? I bought you to work, not to babysit.
And so what did she want to do with the baby?
Well, I didn't know anything about then, but I was sitting in the living room with my baby, and these two women come in and sat down. But she wasn't there. She was in the kitchen. And a little bit later, she says, how about let the baby, you hold the baby? And I didn't think about anything wrong with it. So I let him hold. And the other girl got up, and my Ruth Zuderman come in with the suitcase. And they walked out the back door, and I've never seen her since.
You never saw your baby again?
No. No.
And you two haven't met before today?
No.
Yeah.
We've been talking on the phone and texting every week, every day. We've been counting down the days to meet.
Because the family reunion would take place in bits and pieces over the years, but not until recently, right, Kristina? So what happened? Because it was you and your little brother Kenny with the Zodemans,
Yeah.
and then you had your two other siblings, and there was a fifth child who was born after that photo was taken. So what happened to the other three siblings, Kristina?
So for the other siblings, within 2 years of that photo being published and what we call going viral, they were all either sold or given away or possibly taken away. It's unclear exactly what happened with documentation, but basically the family, was all split apart.
You ultimately reunited for a bit with your birth mother, the one who sold you.
Yes.
And what did she tell you? Did she offer any sort of explanation?
No, but I asked her why she got rid of us.
What'd she say?
You make me sick.
Oh my God.
But the bad thing about it, after she got rid of us kids, she met a man, and she had 4 more girls, and she kept them.
And do you know whether they had a good relationship with her?
I don't know.
So you lost touch with your siblings and ultimately got reunited recently, in the past few years.
Yeah, yeah.
But now they've passed?
Yeah, my sister, Sue Ellen, she died 2013. She had lung cancer.
And so the quest now is what? To find your little girl?
My daughter.
How old would she be now?
58.
You've never had any contact or leads on who she is?
No.
So she would have been born where?
Grand Rapids, Michigan, unwed mother's home.
And do you remember the birth date?
Yeah, September 29th, 1960.
So if you were born on September 29th, 1960, and are now about 58 years old, and you know you were adopted, and you may know that you were born in Grand Rapids,
Yeah.
you might potentially, and you're a girl, and you might potentially be Rayanne's daughter.
Right.
And you would like to reunite with her and tell her what?
I love her, and I need to see her.
And you did not willingly give her up?
No,
Wow.
no.
Did you go on to have any sort of a happy life?
Yeah, no, but I miss my daughter. And then in 1999, I had a son that passed away.
Did you find did you find love in your life? Did you find a partner to live with?
Yeah, my husband, Garrison, they call him Bud. Yeah, he's my love in life.
Oh,
We've been together 26 years.
wow. All the best to you, and thank you. And Kristina, thank you for telling the story. It's an interesting way to go about it. Historical fiction it's an enriching way to learn about our past, and look what it could do, because now they've got genealogy tests, they've got DNA tests. I know you're using all of
That's
that.
what we're doing. So we've teamed up, actually. It was not planned at all, because I wanted her to know that the book had been written. It was not her story in particular, but inspired by them. And I had dedicated the book to the children in the picture, which of course included Ray. Yeah. And so we ended up connecting. And because of that, she told me her story. And now we have teamed up. And I asked her, have you taken a DNA test? And she said, no, I've never done that. I said, I'm sending you one tomorrow. Yeah. So we have now reached out to genealogists and DNA testing and, the unwed mother's home and everything else we can do in order to hopefully reunite her with her daughter.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. We are rooting for you all the way. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you both. We'll be right back.